And as you can see, there is a request, that a new iframe that was added here, and a request was sent to the interesting site. If you'll see, you can see the interesting site over here. My active man in the middle hijacked the cookies of the victim. Any questions so far? As I expressed, I can do it seamlessly. So if I'll browse now to Google, as you can see, the victim doesn't see anything. The URL is still the same. And there are some hidden iframes over here that made my browser send a whole lot of cookies to the active man in the middle. So now you can take my Gmail, Google, and Yahoo, and OWASP.org cookie, and so on. Okay. Let's continue. Until when do we have? Until 1?
We have we have another 40 minutes.
Another 40 minutes. Okay. Okay. So as I expressed in talking about same origin policy, if I'm capable of executing scripts on a specific domain that make your browser think that they came from a specific domain, that I'm capable of doing anything I want on that specific domain. So this is exactly what will happen if I will redirect your browser to an interesting website and then return your response together with my own script. Because I am the man in the middle, I can change all of this HTTP communication. So now my own script can execute on your browser, making your browser believe that it came from the interesting site. And thus I can overcome same origin policy for any site I want. Same origin policy is one of the basic blocks of security of web. One of the problems with this is that it will not work on SSL communication, because if we are talking about SSL communication, then I cannot intercept this communication and change that. There are ways to overcome this restriction. We will talk about this later. Secure connections, SSL, have been established to protect the customers and protect the websites from interceptions, from man-in-the-middle scenarios. And for that, we're using encryption, obviously, or SSL. The problem is that this SSL computation requires a lot of CPU from the servers. For example, I know that Firefox, when they released their, I think it was the second 2.5 version, they've published it on a site that is protected with SSL. The problem is that immediately when they publish this update, all of their users connected to that server trying to receive this information. What happened to their servers? They crashed because it requires too many computations. For these reasons, many websites, specifically all the webmails vendors, by default, they only encrypt the login mechanism. And the rest of the communication will be non-encrypted. The problem is that as it works is like this. You browse to your webmail site using HTTP. Then you get a form. In many cases, that is the case. You get a form. Then you fill your username and password and click Submit. And then a secured connection is being made to the server, sending your username and password in a secured way. So the man in the middle cannot view your username and password. So you are protected. The problem is that this connection was done in a non-HTTPS, in a non-secure way. So what the attacker can do, and as I expressed before, the attacker could return a response together with its own script in it. And that script will intercept everything that is going on here. Every keystroke that you're making on your web app, it could change the action of the form. So that instead of sending these credentials in a secure way, your browser will send them in a non-secure way. Even if you will not send them, then you will still be able to, the attacker will still be able to retrieve them because the attacker has a script running on this domain over here. Yes?
Could you please just go back to the previous slide? The one which was showing the URL. one which was showing the URL, HTTP.
You're talking about?
Forward. Yeah. Before entering this data into the form.
Yes.
Yes, this one. If we are speaking about a secure HTTPS connection, it should be HTTPS, right?
Yeah, so by default, what happens in browsers, when you type, when you first connect to the server, you connect through an HTTP connection, not HTTPS connection. So when you go to your Gmail account, you type www.gmail.com, a request is being made using HTTP, not HTTPS. Then you get a form, either you are redirected to an HTTPS page, or you get a form, and when it is being submitted, then an HTTPS request is being made.
Okay, when it is HTTPS, SSL is activated, right?
Yeah.
Is it possible for the attacker to send unencrypted data through when SSL is activated through HTTPS?
So if I understand your question correctly, over here, as you can see, you can differentiate between HTTPS and HTTP by the type of the errors that I'm using. So if the first request is being in HTTP, then the attacker can change everything and make all the rest of the requests being done in non-HTTPS. Still make sure that they will use HTTP. So the fact that the first request was HTTP actually ruins everything.
Is clear text possible to be sent through HTTPS?
No.
Even if SSL is activated, it's there. SSL has been
If you are using SSL, then the attacker, the man in the middle, by itself cannot see the request that you are sending. There are some possible ways to do that. Recently, there have been a lot of discoveries about HTTPS, but that doesn't relate to my problem. Those discoveries that happened was bugs in the implementation. I am trying to talk about bugs in the design.
Thank you.
So let me move forward, and if you still have questions, please come afterwards and ask me, okay?
Sure, sure.
So the fact that the pre-login was in clear allows the attacker to make sure that the rest of the session will be in clear without sending any HTTPS. Specifically, I can use this mechanism to steal the auto-completion feature that you have on your browser for any site I would like. What I would do is I would wait for you to issue a request to a boring website, and then I would redirect your browser to that interesting website, returning a response with a form which has a login form. Your browser will automatically put in your credentials. That's the feature, auto-completion. My script that will exist here will wait for these credentials to be typed and then send them back to me, the attacker. So let me show you a demo for this. So let me go to a safe network. So I'm now on a safe network. I'm accessing my bank site. I'm putting in my credentials. And I'm asking my Firefox to remember these credentials. Now I'm going to sign off. I'm no longer on the site. I'm going to I can close my browser if I want to. And then I go to an unsafe network and browse to a boring website. As you can see, nothing happens for me here. Everything is the same, but there is a hidden iframe for that interesting website. And my script waited for my browser to fill in the username and password in this hidden website, and you can see them over here on the attacker's machine. Okay, let's continue. So we talked about passive man-in-the-middle attacks. These attacks affect the present. Whatever you do now, this is what the attacker can see or manipulate. I've also introduced you to active man-in-the-middle attacks that affect the past. I can steal information that exists on your browser from the past. I can steal cookies. I can steal auto-completion information.